Sometimes talking with friends feels like role-playing. Sometimes it feels like combat. Join us at the Round Table and Roll Initiative. This is Curmudgeons and Dragons.
Hello, adventurers! Welcome to Curmudgeons and Dragons. I am Jason Portizo. I'm joined once again in person before he gets to stop me and interject once again.
You've already lost your funky flow.
Yeah. I interrupted myself and threw myself off. That's the kind of game we're playing today. Jim Crocker's here.
Yeah.
In person.
Yeah.
Once again, live at the Keep in Brick, New Jersey.
Yeah. The fact that you messed yourself up means my work here is done.
Yeah, you did a fantastic job, Jim. Yeah. Just keep doing nothing. And we'll just
a mere 6 feet away from each other.
It's usually Josey that derails me without doing anything.
Yeah, I'm being on my best behavior. It might be all of the codeine.
She's doing great.
In so much pain.
Live via Riverside is Josey Diaz.
Hello.
And in person with us is Tony Ingracia.
Hello.
Tony, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming by. Thanks for physically coming by. I met Tony a couple weeks ago. He was a player in my one shot that I ran right here at the Keep. And we got to chatting about DMing and gaming in general, and found out he's got his own podcast. So tell us about D&D 404.
Yeah, so I have my own podcast called D&D 404. I'm actually one of 4 people. The other 3 members are the players. I am the DM. So our little slogan is, join us for 3 first-time players and 1 very patient DM. This is the first time that they ever played.
That's me when I run games here. Yeah.
It's you when you record the podcast.
Yeah, that's also true. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's the 3 players have never played Dungeons and Dragons before.
That's awesome.
One of them is very heavy on board games, and the other one just likes role-playing games, and the other one's just a gamer all around. We were all aspiring Twitch streamers at one point, so we kind of had like like camera to the face, and playing online, and playing games in front of people. So we were kind of already in that world. So we decided to start a podcast over the pandemic, and they wanted to give D&D a shot.
Cool. So it is an actual play show.
It is.
Okay.
Yes.
Is a homebrew world?
It is a homebrew world.
Yours, I assume?
Yes.
Very
so
cool.
It takes place in the world of Umbrea, with a homebrew story that I made.
You want to tell us about the world a little bit, or should we just is that?
Oh no!
Just start listening to the show.
Yeah, I kind of want to know about this little homebrew world.
Right? Yeah. So
that sounds suspiciously like the word homebrew.
So Umbrea is a world that I've made, and one of the first lessons I've learned since doing the show is that I created a world that was physically too big for my players to ever fully explore, especially in one campaign. So it's made up of 4 continents, and after trial and error, it's just like focused on one of the continents right now, which is South Trillis. And if you look at the map where they actually traveled to how big the world is, they've only traveled to like 4 points of interest over the last, as we recorded, 60 episodes so far, a little over 60 episodes.
Wow. An impressive number. Like,
yeah, we one of our key points that we try to stick to the most is consistency. Mm-hmm. So we record on a regular basis, and when we're not recording, we actually have like weekly meetings to find out when we're recording next and what we expect out of our characters.
You hear that, guys?
No, I don't. I took my headphones off.
That sounds like
it. So how long is an episode? Do you split your sessions up between multiple episodes, or is it just, a full session of play is a single episode?
We used to record and then cut at good stopping points until around episode 30, and then we're like, no, we gotta like come up with a timer and like stick to it, because editing is an absolute nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
And I do not railroad my players in any which way. So we do 2-hour recordings, and sometimes it goes over if it's like a pivotal moment. Like I never want to rush them.
It happens.
Yeah. So by the time it hits the airwaves, it's about a solid 80 to 90 minutes to listen to. Sometimes they're a little bit shorter, sometimes they're a little bit longer, depending on the content. But the players are free roam. They can turn left at any moment. So sometimes session preps goes right out the window. But yeah, so try to keep it to 2 hours, and then
that's cool, because people hear 60 sessions and they might think that that's 60 like full length 4-hour sessions, but like if we were playing at a table and doing a typical 3 to 4 hour game, it's probably about half the number of episodes you guys have done.
Yeah,
going into a
90-minute
campaign.
episodes has been great for a few actual play shows I've listened to. That 90-minute point is just so perfect for. Now, granted, I have a 45-minute commute to work, so so there and back is one episode,
Exactly,
and it's just so good.
Nailed it.
So from a business perspective, we actually thought of that, and we're like, we need to not cater, but like we want to keep the commuter in mind.
It's got to be accessible.
Exactly.
And like this is one of the original pitches for this, what ended up being this show now, was that we were going to do an actual play full of one shots because there is extremely popular actual play shows that are 4 hours per episode. And I couldn't get through one. I just didn't have the patience.
So
commitment.
Although the cartoon is fantastic, so
I do enjoy those.
Whichever
sessions.
one I'm talking about.
I do enjoy those shows, but I'm right there with you. It's just like I don't like listening personally. Now, this is not a ding at anybody, but I don't like listening to. All right, here's plan A, B, and C, D, E, and F, and they decided on plan G, and you have to listen to. It's like it's kind of redundant. I kind of lost focus, especially in an audible adventure.
I was going to say, that's also the beauty of podcasts is that. When you're going through and editing, you can take out all of the bits that do not make for good storytelling.
Yeah. So that's exactly what we do. And we do upload that like on our Patreon, or sometimes we'll just, put it out in the wild.
The raw long form stuff. So
it's like, this is what you heard.
For Patreon, it's perfect because you're going to get people who are actually already invested and they want that little gritty shit. One of my favorites is I talk about NADPOD a lot on the show, and their finished product, they remove all the die rolling and all the math and stuff like that. But then when they do their live shows, they just put out the live show as it was. So you get them like trying to like count up all their dice and everything, and it's like it takes them a long time.
Well, but that's actual gaming. That's what an actual game sounds like.
Yeah,
I've never understood why you call something that's curated that you take all of the actual play out of an actual play.
I get it.
We do our best to keep the number crunching in there. Our main goal is to make it sound like we're actually in the same room when we're not.
Good.
Because we're spread all over the country. We got one guy in California and one guy in Nebraska, and then the other guy's in Connecticut. And I'm here in New Jersey.
Wow, that is very evenly spread.
It is. It is. So we start recording at 9 p.m. at night. Once the California guy gets home from work.
Okay.
So shout out to Alec. So he comes through the door and he throws his headphones on, and then we start playing. So
yeah, the having 3 different time zones, that's got to be interesting. We got 2. All now, granted, ours are slightly more extreme than yours.
Yeah.
Not by you got 3
you
hours.
got Josey across the pond.
You got 3 hour. You got minus 3 hours on yours. We got plus 5 hours on ours. So like
but then when you can record in like a nice afternoon time, and I'm out of work already.
Listen, we do what we do for the show that we love. I hope you love as much as I need you to. All right,
It'd be really inconvenient if you were still listening and didn't love the show.
Yeah, really. So that's D&D 404, available on pretty much every podcast platform. I found it on the 3 that I look for it on. I use one on my phone. It's a different one. That's my iPad. So I found it on a few different ones.
Nice.
So links to that, as well as their Instagram and everything that you can find all their stuff on. All of that will be in the show notes. But you're here today to tell us. I asked you for a horror story, and you're like, I don't know if I have any. But
no, I've been blessed with some great adventures all around. I never had anything that was crazy. I've been playing since I was 13, but like that group has been pretty consistent. So I play like a lot when I was in middle school and a little bit into high school, and then sporadic games throughout college, which is just close friends. So I never had like a falling out with anybody. I don't think a campaign ever went that long to have a falling out. And I think I was too young for anything. I'm sure maybe I have horror stories of me because I'm a 13-year-old. I was a 13-year-old at the time whose like favorite hero was Link, and he wanted a cool sword.
Just being 13
so
is its own horror story.
Any story of me being 13, gaming or not gaming, is a horror story. I was not a good person.
I was like, how do I be a town hero who rises to great power, and saves the world? And they're like, you're not a main character. I'm like, but can I be? Like, that was me at 13,
But what if I was a main character?
Am I not?
That was a moody little shit.
My original DM gave me an ice sword, which I believe at the time was called Ice Razor. Between 2nd and 3rd edition, we like mixed the rules back then.
Sure.
And that was like the highlight of my D&D career when I was 13. I loved that sword. And when my character died, I lost the sword. And I think I cried that night. I was so upset.
Reasonable.
That checks out. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I'll never forget Ice Razor.
You told me you had wholesome stories.
I do.
So we got two super rarities on the show. First of all, we got that fresh OC. Get that original content just for us. And a wholesome story at that. So this is the unicorn episode. So what do you got?
Strap in.
So keep in mind, these are the first wholesome story has already passed. So if you've listened to the show, you would have heard this already. And the second one is something that hasn't aired yet. We're getting ready for the 5th arc of our story. And so we already had recorded that. Maybe by the time this episode airs, it may be out. But if not, you get a little inside scoop.
But if not, we've got exclusive content.
This may or may not be spoilers for D&D 404.
Not huge spoilers. Not huge spoilers.
So minor spoilers ahead for those who have not caught up on D&D 404.
So the first wholesome story happens relatively early on in the first arc. And now our group consists of a tiefling warlock, a minotaur ranger. I did love the idea of a minotaur. It was awesome. Yeah. So mechanically, he's a minotaur with halfling stats. That's what we did. Oh. So he has like the luck fee and all that. Yeah. And super blind and does not catch up on social cues very well. He's like the outcast of his tribe. And then we have a Goliath fighter. So they have not listened to any podcasts before starting this one. So although like a tiefling warlock may be kind of common, he didn't know anybody who had this before. So
it's kind of funny actually. It's kind of all land on the same spot.
Yeah. So Armos, he didn't know what to do with his backstory, so he gave himself amnesia and kind of gave me the reins of his backstory. So he started out in the middle of a ritual that was failing, and he summoned a demon that eradicated everyone who helped him with this ritual.
Whoops.
Yeah. So
how does it be like that?
Right.
So then he everything flashes, and that's when he gets amnesia. And when he comes through, he's the only one that survived. And there is this demonic demon bunny in the room in a puddle of blood named Reginald. And that unfolds as he wants to go. He wanted to have a patron that was adorable bunny that was craves violence and wants to eat human flesh.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yeah. So now keep that mindset. Let's move forward a little bit. So
far this is great.
This is level 1. And now they've been on the road for a little bit. And the 3 people are heading into trying to pass through the Riverwood Forest, which is like a major forest in the world, kind of placed in the middle of the map to be really inconvenient for anyone that passes by. The Riverwood Forest has 3 Coatoa tribes in there. I don't know if I'm sure you guys are familiar with Coatoas. Okay. So the 3 of them all have these different personalities and beliefs, and you all believe in the Blittle Bloop, which is an actual god in D&D, and 5e at least. But they all have
what's it called?
The Blittle Bloop. It might be any form of that.
The Little Bloop?
Or yeah, in the Dungeon Master's Guide or the Monsters Manual, it says they all worship a god called the Blittle Bloop, which is the form that they believe it to be. So it could be anything. So the 3 of these factions are waging war because they all believe in their own version of the Blittle Bloop, and they can't come to an agreement. So
yeah, it's a classic D&D thing that goes back when I talked about Vault of the Drow. Mm-hmm. That's a thing from that Descent into the Depths, the classic D&D adventure. And of course, because this was like an early 80s classic D&D adventure, the original drawing of it is hot chick tits out with the head of a lobster and lobster claws. That was what she looked like in the
There's a variation
in the classic
of that
D&D module. So yeah,
I think the description they gave is a little more PC in the
yeah.
Mossum and 5e, but essentially,
but we know what they meant.
Yes, yeah.
Yep. The silhouette is very suggestive.
So this is 80s fantasy, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Very Gygaxian, yeah.
So the heroes are trying to bypass the forest and they get ambushed. Now, this is one of the moments where they don't realize they need to run, and they charge into the forest blind, not knowing how many there are. And this is only one of the tribes. So they get captured and they wake up at a camp. And this is when Drell just turned level 3. He was a fighter. And this was like a cool moment for him to get his subclass. So I made it like he raged out. He saved Armos and Minas.
You know what? Actually, I'm going to pause just for a moment. So for the benefit of any of our listeners who do not know what Kuo-toa are, they're basically like Lovecraft deep ones. They're like fish people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're amazing.
Yeah. They're.
I think second or third edition of their art is my favorite. They're just like, for anyone who plays World of Warcraft, like early adaptations of Murlocs.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. Big bug-eyed fish dudes. Yeah.
So they got ambushed by the Murderous tribe, and they got caught, and then Drell the Fighter saved them, and that's when he became level 3. He got his cool subclass powers. It was a cool level up moment.
Yeah, like the Piranha Kuo-toa or something like that. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
So fast forward a bit. So now they've been getting attacked by all these Kuo-toas, so it's on site. So fast forward one session, they are now traveling through the forest. They meet a couple of NPCs, and now they see another Kuo-toa tribe at a pond, and it looks like they're resting. And with a couple of perception checks, they notice that they're wearing different tribal outfits. So these are different Kuo-toas. And so rather than just blowing them up, they went over to them, and as they started talking to him, they noticed that they had like a key item called a blood shard, which is what the whole campaign's about. We won't get into that, but they're looking for these blood shards, essentially. And it's on a young shaman boy's staff. And while they find that out, a shambling mound comes up and swipes the whole tribe up. It's a huge like mini boss battle. So now the heroes are battling the shambling mound. They're eating these Kuo-toas. So now they decide to run and realize they can't fight everything. And the big one takes the little shaman boy who has the blood shard on his staff, and they try to save him. And they're actually trying to save these people. And the little cat talks like this, he's a little shaman.
Oh my God.
His name is Ghibli. And,
Perfect fish voice.
Yeah. And he's looking for his mom. And then when they turn around, his mom got swallowed up by the shambling mound. So they end up killing the shambling mound. And now here's where the wholesome moment comes in. You got the murderous warlock with a demon bunny. And while they're resting, the Ghibli is very sad. He's like, have you seen my mother? I'm looking for my mother. And then they break it to him that his mother got eaten by the shambling mound. So the warlock, who's just wanted to burn everything for the last 15 sessions, decides to use a spell called Illusionary Script. I don't know if I'm sure you're familiar. So my homebrew rule that we decide is that you can flavor anything however you want, as long as it's not game breaking or mechanic breaking. So he flavored Illusionary Script. Rather than writing a letter, you can touch an item, and you can like imbue a memory on it. So he took like a piece of cloth, and he imbued a memory of his mother, the Kuo-toa's mother, for this little Kuo-toa child, and gave it to him. Yeah. And we like joked around that as him playing baseball with the other Kuo-toa kids, and it was like a home run. He looked at his mom and stand. I just didn't see that.
Like sickeningly sweet.
Yeah. And we never I didn't expect that to come from him, from the murderous, greedy tiefling warlock, because he hasn't done anything like that. Sure. He's just like, for the first time he felt sad. He was like, in the story, he's like, I don't want to kill this guy now. We're taking his blood shard, but I'm not going to kill him. So we're like, wow. And then some episodes later, we found out that if you use that spell again, it wipes away the first.
Oh.
So we're like, no. That's in the game. That's forever. It's not going to wipe away. Sure. I can't deal with that. I can't sleep at night.
And having it in a blanket and just be this comforting thing for that kid. That's just.
Can you imagine it goes like to listen to it again? It's just nothing.
It's just a blanket. Goes to show it to his friends, like, guys, check this out. And it's just a blanket now. It's just like, I don't know.
Like, oh, that's cool.
Okay, until we were shitheads about it in the last like 5 seconds. That was that's a sweet story.
Well, that's what. It's a wholesome story until you cast that spell again.
Yeah.
So
it's very touching, and
that is dark.
Turns it into the horror story.
Yeah.
Here's a sweet memento of your mother. Oh, and it's gone.
Right. Do you love it? Do you love it? Okay, I'm just gonna take it away now.
On my screen, every time you said the word homebrew, it looks to me like Jim gets very skeptical.
No, homebrew's fine. Just homebrew is. If you do it properly. So you know what? It's the fact that homebrew can mean a lot of things depending on how you're applying it.
Sure.
So.
I think you're taking like the Roll20 definition of homebrew, which is all broken magic items and stuff.
Yeah.
No, I don't play by that.
Homebrew
exactly.
just means out of the book.
We did our own campaign, so yeah.
I'm actually not that big of a fan of homebrew as like a DM. I'm actually more of a glutton for rules as written. But when it comes to like flavoring and, if you want to play like something really specific, and then it's okay to like tweak it.
Oh, flavoring is great. I'm pro skinning. Like that's that's an important part of character creation. Until D&D catches up to Pathfinder with customization. But no, that's a very sweet story. Anytime you can just get the NPCs really involved like that, and doing something nice for an NPC is like the ultimate like selfless act, because that's not a real person. No. Like at the table, it's not, you're not doing that for somebody. It's literally just a character in your game that you're going out of your way to be nice for.
Yeah,
that's a player character that got moved enough by a character in the story that they felt the need to be sympathetic, and I don't think as a DM you can really ask for more than your players getting that involved.
I'll even say that's also a player being moved enough by the story to make their character.
Yeah.
When he did that, this is my I was like,
hidden depths, man. That's great.
I did tear a little bit. I was like, wow.
You can hear Tony cry on that episode of D&D 404. That's you said pretty early in the first arc, right?
Yeah, I want to say like episode maybe 15, 16.
Yeah. You can get there in a couple work days.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Very cool story. I listened to the show. It sounds fantastic.
Thank you.
And as a pro podcast editor, it really does sound great. So this should be nice and easy to listen to. So go check out D&D 404. Links to all that will be in the show notes. Tony, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
We'll put an NSFW warning on that classic picture of Bill Bloop de Bloop.
That's sure. Jim joining me IRL.
Oh yeah.
Josey joining us through Riverside. And a big shout out to the team over at the Keep in Brick, New Jersey. So my friendly local game store. This is
great place.
I've got some games coming up here. Check them out at thekeephobby.com. And just send a DM and thank them for letting us set up for the day. We've got a few more episodes that are becoming live from here. So but again, Tony Ingracia was our guest. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, adventurers.
Thank you for listening to Curmudgeons and Dragons. Please share this with your favorite adventurers. Leave a review on Apple and follow us on social media. All links can be found at curmudgeonsanddragons.com. Practice safe adventuring, my friends.